Happy Friday! It's time for another 5 Things Friday. I am author Ellie Alexander, and this week I am tackling 5 questions about my Sloane Crouse mysteries. Question number 5 cracked me up so much that I literally spit something out of my nose. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining me here again. I hope you have something fantastic planned for the weekend. And if your weekend plans happen to include reading, then this is the episode for you because I pulled 5 questions that I have received from readers about my Sloane Crouse mysteries. I love getting to share information about Sloane and her brewish life up in the Bavarian village of Leavenworth, Washington. So let's get right to some questions. Number 1, this question comes from Deb. Deb says, I don't like beer, but I love this series. How did you do that? Deb, I have no idea. I don't know how I did that, but I love the fact that you're enjoying the Sloane Crouse mysteries, even though you are not a fan of beer. I talk all the time about the fact that you don't have to be a craft beer lover in order to enjoy these mysteries. I mean, my hope is, as a writer, first and foremost, that the mystery comes through, that Sloane's backstory and her search for her birth parents come through while reading this series. And also that even if you're not a beer drinker, you can appreciate the art and the craft that goes into the brewing process. I so enjoy getting to immerse myself in that world because I think it's so fascinating to watch just a few simple ingredients come together and they can taste so vastly different. I am not a brewer myself, but I think I've discussed this before that my husband is, and I am constantly amazed at how a little bit of a different yeast or some hops create a completely different flavor profile. And then last but not least, one of the other things that I think resonates with this series is the fact that Sloane is such a foodie at heart as well. So she's using beer in her cooking and in her baking. She's infusing those flavors together. And my guess, Deb, I don't know, you'll have to answer, but maybe that's why you're enjoying this series. Regardless, thank you for enjoying this series. It makes my day. Number 2, this question comes from Carol. Carol asks, will there be a book number 4? Yes, Carol, there will be a book number 4. It is already done and off to my editor. I'm super excited about this book. It's coming out in October. Are you ready for a title? Drum roll. Dun, dun, dun. It is titled Without a Brew. In this book, Sloane and Garrett are going to be prepping for the annual Bavarian Ice Fest, which is a real thing in Leavenworth, Washington. So check that out if you're interested in some sort of winter wonderland escape. And, of course, there's going to be a murder. The really interesting thing I think about this particular book is we're going to get a much bigger touch of what's going on with Sloane's search for the truth. So stay tuned. That comes out in October. And Beyond a Reasonable Stout, the 3rd book in the series, will release in paperback this summer. So if you haven't read Beyond a Reasonable Stout, or you just want another copy, you can grab a mass market version of it this summer and get ready for the release of Without a Brew. All right, question number 3 from Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Lisa asks, how do you keep these 2 series separate? So I believe that Lisa's referencing the Bake Shop Mysteries and the Sloane Crouse Mysteries. And honestly, in my head, Sloane and Jules are so very different. They are like real people to me. They're both like best friends. They're so fully formed in my mind that I don't have trouble separating them because they feel like very unique and different people. However, I will say that whenever I'm writing either series, I completely immerse myself in that world. So if I'm working on Sloane, my office is decked out with cuckoo clocks and pictures of Leavenworth, and I have a special playlist just for Sloane. And then the same is true for the Bake Shop Mysteries. When I'm writing Jules, I have pictures of Ashland and Shakespeare and pastries, and I have a very romantic playlist. So it's an easy way to differentiate, and I know that I've talked about this before, but I also never write those books simultaneously. I work on one, and then I step away, and then I work on the other. But really, the truth of the matter is that Jules and Sloane honestly feel like such real people to me that it would be like confusing my sister and my best friend or something like that. Number 4, this question comes from Shayla. Shayla asks, why did you publish this series in hardcover? So the Sloane Crouse Mysteries is published in hardcover. I, as an author, don't choose how books are published. I was fortunate enough to get a contract with Minotaur, an imprint of Macmillan Publishing, and the publisher sets the print schedules. They might have a hole in their hardcover line that they need to fill. They have all of the parameters in terms of when and how books are published. The author really doesn't have much say in that, and that's not a bad thing, because one of the gifts of working with a big publishing house is that they really know books and how to market them and how to get them out on shelves, whether that's libraries, bookstores, etc. I hear quite often from readers that hardcover isn't their favorite size, it's too big, it's too expensive, which I totally understand. We all have our preferences. I touched on the various formats of book publishing in an earlier episode of 5 Things and the pros and cons. So if you're interested in learning more about that, check that video out. Number 5. I was drinking a glass of water when this email came in, and I literally snorted water up my nose because it cracked me up so much. This email came from Marie, who asked, "Have you ever tasted a bad beer in the process of researching the Sloane Crouse Mysteries?" The answer to that question is yes. I have tasted some really bad beer over the years, and I've tasted some delicious beers. The thing about beer, much like books, is that it's subjective. Just because I might not find a particular beer pleasing to my palate doesn't mean that you might not love it. That's the beauty of beer and the beauty of a book. But yeah, there's some bad beers out there. There could be at some point in time a plot line where the beer is so bad that somebody needs to be murdered over it. I don't know. Stay tuned. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of 5 Things Friday. Do you have other questions for me about the Sloane Crouse Mysteries or any of my writing? Feel free to comment below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell to get notified whenever I share new videos. Have a great weekend.